All right, so Grand Theft Auto 6 Trailer 2 dropped, and yeah, the internet went kind of nuts. Everyone saw the big reveals, the obvious stuff. But what about the details lurking beneath the surface? The things you might have blinked and missed? That's exactly what we're digging into today. Rockstar also threw us a bone with some extra info on their site character bios, a bunch of screenshots so we can go way beyond just scratching the surface of this trailer. Let's get into those overlooked gems. Right off the bat, that opening shot plants us firmly in the Leonida Keys. Think Florida Keys, Rockstar style. And it seems Jason's story is likely going to begin right here. Even in those first few seconds, there's more than meets the eye. Check out that boat model cruising along at the bottom of the frame, definitely something new. Now take a look along the shoreline. You can actually make out what are described as sea sharks, maybe just a fun in-game name for smaller sharks, and some other marine life scattered about. But look even closer at the water itself. Are those flamingos just waiting around? Seems so. And then up in the top right corner, that familiar Coast Guard blimp. We saw it in the first trailer, too. Now, what's interesting is that in the real Florida Keys, those blimps are used to scout for boats coming from Cuba. Could that hint at some potential storylines or side activities in the game? Smuggling, maybe? Definitely something to keep in mind. Okay, next we get our first peek at what seems to be Jason's starting house. A couple of cool things jump out here. First, his personal vehicle. It's a blue sedan parked outside. If you remember way back to the 2022 leaks, that same car actually appeared in red. So a slight color change, but clearly the same ride. And just to the left of it, you can spot an iguana casually hanging out. Pretty cool. Further down, another vehicle that longtime fans will recognize, the Willard Odora from GTA 5. It's these returning elements that create a sense of continuity. A familiar touch in a new world. Oh, and did you see the basketball hoop in the driveway? Well, Rockstar's official newswire confirmed that basketball will be a playable side activity. So that little detail isn't just window dressing, it's a direct nod to confirmed gameplay. Then we're introduced to Brian. The newswire paints Brian as a loan shark type who's letting Jason crash at his place without rent, with the understanding that Jason helps out with some local shakedowns. Hence, Brian's instruction for Jason to go collect his payment. Makes sense. Now, it looks like Brian's ride of choice is a Vapid Car 4x4, another familiar vehicle making a comeback from GTA 5. But here's a really subtle touch that speaks volumes about the level of detail. In the background of this scene, watch closely, and you can see a raccoon scurrying out of a trash can. Amazing. It's these small environmental animations that hint at a much more dynamic and believable world. And if you glance way in the distance, there's a cargo ship very similar to the one we spotted in the initial trailer. This suggests that cargo traffic is going to be a pretty significant element in the Leonida Keys. Jason's physical condition is pretty hard to miss, right? And now we know a bit more about why. The newswire mentions his past in the army during his teenage years, a background that likely explains his physique. There's a quick shot inside a car where a few details become apparent. Look at Jason's left shoulder and you can see an army tattoo. It seems Jason might have some charm about him. We see him getting catcalled by a woman in the Leonida Keys, and her car is covered in paw prints, a quirky detail that could lead to some interesting NPC interactions out in the world. Also, pay attention to the reflections in Jason's sunglasses and the car's side mirrors. They are a massive leap forward compared to GTA 5. It actually looks like we have proper working real-time reflections now, which adds a huge layer of visual fidelity and immersion, something previous games had to, simulate more abstractly. In the following scene, Jason is seemingly collecting money for Brian, likely from a local business in the Leonida Keys. Take a look at the counter in the shop. There are rocks and crystals on display, which gives you a certain vibe about the kind of place this is. We then see Jason opening the till to get the cash. And in the background, there's an individual completely passed out. If you look to the right of the register, you can spot a lighter and what looks like a packet labeled 420, so you can probably piece together what led to their current state. These small environmental storytelling details really enrich the scene. The trailer then cuts to Jason driving on a highway. Up ahead, we see some characters in a pickup truck who have been described as rednecks. We also get to see some returning vehicles that will be familiar to GTA 5 players, like the Coquette on the left. But this scene also offers a glimpse into the everyday life of the game world. We see trash collectors and road workers on the side of the road, making the environment feel more lived in. And check out the road sign. It points towards some newly confirmed locations, Vice City International Airport, and interestingly, Ambrosia, which appears to be the third major city in the game. That's right, it's not just Vice City. We're also getting Port Gellhorn and Ambrosia. So at least 3 distinct urban areas in addition to the Leonida Keys. That's a significant expansion of the playable space. Next, we see Jason working out at an outdoor gym. Based on the background, you can clearly see Ocean View Drive, placing this gym right near the beach. There are some women around who seem quite impressed with Jason's efforts, further playing into that ladies' man persona. He's shown bench pressing 120 kilos multiple times. This guy is definitely strong. This scene also essentially confirms the return of the gym system, a feature that fans have been requesting for a long time. So it looks like physical fitness and character stats will be making a comeback. Good stuff. In a quick cut, we see Jason exiting a convenience store carrying some Patriot beer. But there are a couple of other noteworthy details in this shot. To the right, there's a cat casually strolling by, suggesting a greater variety of wildlife in the game world. And on the left, someone is purchasing a lottery ticket. It's for the Leonida lottery, with the tagline, "A new billionaire every week." It makes you wonder if we'll be able to try our own luck in the Leonida lottery. Maybe. As Jason walks away from the store, you can again see his blue car parked outside, and there's also a homeless person asking for money. These kinds of random encounters seem to be taking the level of detail we saw in Red Dead Redemption 2 and just amplifying it for GTA 6, creating a truly dynamic and unpredictable world. The following scene shows Jason driving towards a prison to pick up Lucia. This moment reveals some pretty significant information. First, up on the overpass to the right, you can clearly see the Vice City metro system. Based on those 2022 leaks, it seems likely that we'll be able to use this as a form of transportation, similar to the train system in GTA 5. On the left side of the road, there's what appears to be an active police situation. Several individuals are being arrested and are lined up against a wall. We can see a standard Vice-style police cruiser, as well as our first glimpse of what looks like an unmarked, undercover police vehicle. Interesting. While we had random encounters with law enforcement in GTA 5, this seems to suggest a more frequent and dynamic police presence throughout the open world. So it looks like while we're cruising around, we might just stumble upon ongoing police activity. Now, there's a shape on the wall in the background that some people have speculated might be the GTA 6 map, but the text next to it actually indicates that it's a depiction of Haiti. So, debunked. Also, notice that Jason's hairstyle is longer in this scene. This hints that we might have a system where hair grows over time, and we'll likely have different hairstyles to choose from. If you pay close attention throughout the trailer, you can actually spot a wide variety of hairstyles on different characters, suggesting a detailed character customization system. Then we arrive at the prison, and we finally get the official full names of our protagonists, Lucia Caminos and Jason Duval. Now, when the prison guard asks if he's seen Jason there before, it definitely raises some intriguing questions. What exactly does he mean by that? Was Jason incarcerated there at some point? Has he been a frequent visitor to Lucia? Or could it even be a subtle hint that Jason has some connection to law enforcement? The wording is deliberately ambiguous, it seems, leaving us to speculate. Right around the 1-minute mark, we get our first substantial look at Lucia in the second trailer. The first thing that likely catches your eye is the ankle monitor she's wearing. And this ankle monitor remains visible on her throughout the entirety of the trailer, every scene. This could very well be a gameplay mechanic that restricts our movement on the map, at least in the initial stages of the game. Makes you wonder. We then transition to one of several romantic scenes featured in the trailer. Rockstar is clearly emphasizing the central relationship between these two characters, suggesting it will be a core element of the narrative. And yes, the ankle monitor is still present in these scenes. Next, we're thrown right into what appears to be a bank heist. Personally, I have a strong feeling that this scene doesn't occur early in the game's storyline. Just a hunch. They're both wearing heist gear and are in the process of robbing the Sin Frontier National Bank, which looks like a pretty significant target. While I could certainly be wrong, the scale of this suggests it might be a later mission. It's quite possible Rockstar is presenting some of these key moments out of chronological order to keep us guessing about the narrative progression. We see shots of both Jason and Lucia actively controlling hostages during this heist, indicating that we'll likely be able to switch between them during these high-stakes missions, which should add a dynamic layer to the gameplay. We then cut to another scene, this time set in a bar in the Leonida Keys. This scene seems to take place relatively soon after Jason picks up Lucia from prison. Jason offers a toast to new beginnings, and Lucia's slightly sarcastic reply gives us a good sense of their contrasting personalities. Jason comes across as the more serious, perhaps due to his military background, while Lucia seems to have a more lighthearted and perhaps cynical outlook. They're shown sitting on a pier, enjoying drinks and overlooking the Leonida Keys. We also get a glimpse of a new boat model called the Pure Predator, as they both appear to be enjoying their drinks. And in the background, we can see the return of that very expensive-looking yacht from the first trailer. Here we see Jason doing some work for Brian at Brian's hangar. Again, given that Brian is based in the Leonida Keys, this likely takes place in the earlier parts of the game. We also get our first introduction to another character, Cal Hampton. According to Rockstar's information, Cal is a friend of Jason's who also associates with Brian. Cal is described as someone who prefers the safety of his home, where he spends his time monitoring Coast Guard communications, drinking beer, and browsing potentially questionable content on his computer. Huh. So he could be a source of information, perhaps GTA 6's equivalent of Lester Crest, offering intel and support to Jason. In this shot, we see three individuals collecting garbage, and one of them appears to be Lucia. This would make sense. Having recently been released from prison, she might be fulfilling community service obligations. Jason is then seen taking Lucia back to the house that Brian is letting him rent. Lucia delivers the line, "Trust me, this is just the start for us," which definitely foreshadows their larger ambitions and plans. Also, on a slightly bizarre note, it looks like Jason has a rather large pet snake residing in the house. Okay, it raises the question of whether this is simply a decorative element or if we'll actually be able to interact with pets within the game world. A pet snake. Interesting choice. In the subsequent scene, we see Jason, Lucia, and Cal celebrating. Presumably, Lucia is released from prison. Cal exclaims, "Ring the bell!" and the other patrons in the bar join in with cheers. Even when comparing this scene to similar moments in GTA 5, you can see numerous subtle improvements. The hairstyles on all the characters look significantly more detailed, and even small details like the contents of the bar fridges are now fully rendered 3D objects, a noticeable upgrade from the flatter 2D images used in GTA 5 stores and bars. Staying true to the Vice City vibe, we then see Jason and Lucia on what appears to be a luxurious yacht or a very expensive boat. They are both dressed much more formally than in most of the other scenes we've seen so far in the trailer. It's unclear whether they're simply celebrating or if this is part of some kind of reconnaissance mission. Interestingly, Lucia seems to be wearing the same elegant dress she was wearing in the convertible scene from the first trailer, potentially placing these two scenes in relatively close proximity chronologically. By this point, it's pretty evident that there's going to be an impressive level of character customization available for both Jason and Lucia. We've already seen them in a variety of different outfits and hairstyles across just these few minutes of footage. We then cut to a scene inside a car with Jason and Lucia, where Jason says with determination, "We're going to do this. We're going to do it right." If you look out the window, you can see a group of bikers. This could represent one of their initial encounters or missions, perhaps involving working with a local motorcycle gang. We then get a continuation of that yacht scene, this time transitioning into a nightclub called 919. If you cast your mind back to the first trailer, there was a plane flying a banner that read Y69 when you can 919. Remember that. That banner was clearly advertising this very establishment. From what we can see, it appears to be a regular nightclub, not a strip club. We get a glimpse of one of those later in the trailer. During this club scene, a character in a white tank top leans in and says, "Yo, D, this fool a Fed," which definitely fuels the ongoing fan theory that Jason might be working undercover as a police officer. It's still far from confirmed, but it's an interesting piece of dialogue. The character he's addressing as D is the individual on the left, Draco Priest. Rockstar's official description of Draco paints him as more of a hustler with aspirations in the music industry, even during his time dealing on the streets. So perhaps this nightclub scene represents an initial meeting between Jason and Draco, possibly facilitated by Duan Choran. It's also becoming increasingly apparent just how visually stunning this game is shaping up to be. The advancements in graphics are significant, especially the lighting. In many shots, it genuinely looks incredibly realistic, almost like real life. Following that, we see Jason and Lucia making a hasty exit from what looks like an apartment building. Jason is wearing a black tank top in this scene, so it's not a direct continuation of the nightclub sequence. They're being actively pursued by a police helicopter overhead. Intense. We also see brief snippets of a police raid, and we hear Brian's voice warning Jason, "They've got your name, address, they got everything." This sequence of events seems to be the catalyst that forces Jason and Lucia to leave the Leonida Keys and move on to the more sprawling metropolis of Vice City. We then get two quick glimpses of a new character who appears to be a police chief or some kind of high-ranking law enforcement official. He delivers the line, "Us cops, we gotta protect each other." Rockstar intentionally placed another character on the far left edge of the screen in one of these shots, and while there's speculation that it might be Jason, perhaps hinting further at the undercover theory, it's really difficult to say for sure based on such a brief and obscured view. The shirt does bear a slight resemblance to one Jason wore earlier, but it's far from conclusive evidence. So the Jason is a cop theory remains just that, a theory. Now, the next action-packed shot shows Jason firing a weapon from a moving vehicle, and this is a really noticeable improvement over how it was handled in GTA 5. In the previous game, your character would essentially just stick their arm out of the window to shoot. In GTA 6, it looks like the character will lean their entire upper body out of the car, giving a much more dynamic and immersive third-person, over-the-shoulder perspective when engaging in vehicular gunplay. That looks way better. We then get a clearer look at a character who made a brief appearance standing on top of a car in the first trailer. Her name is Baylux. Rockstar has provided some interesting background on her. She's one half of an influencer duo known as Real Dimes, with her partner Roxy. They've apparently been friends since their high school days and have managed to leverage their various activities, which reportedly include shaking down local dealers, wow, into both cash and a significant social media presence through their rap music. So, their appearance on top of that car in the initial trailer now makes a lot more sense in the context of their influencer personas. And in the background of this shot, we get another view of the Vice City metro system, further confirming its role as a usable mode of transportation within the city. Here, we get our first proper look at the Port Gellhorn area, specifically outside of a motel called the Starlit Motel. Port Gellhorn seems to be located on the western side of the overall map. And eagle-eyed viewers might notice that Jason has yet another new haircut in this particular scene. Customization confirmed again. Then we see Lucia engaging in hand-to-hand combat with someone, which is a cool confirmation that fighting mechanics will be returning. This also raises the possibility of underground fight clubs or similar activities within the game world. Could be fun. We then see a high-octane police chase with Lucia leaning out of the back of a vehicle and firing a grenade launcher. Boom! The explosion effects look incredibly impressive, and we also get a good look at 3 different types of police vehicles involved in the pursuit. A police riot van, a standard police Buffalo cruiser, and a new car model that bears a resemblance to a Ford Explorer in real life. Next up, we see Jason and Draco Kwan reacting to something they're looking at on a mobile phone. Wonder what that is. In the background of this scene, there are various pedestrians engaging in everyday activities like cardio and yoga, adding to the sense of a bustling, living city. On the left, there's a dog. It looks like it might be a new breed that we haven't seen in previous GTA games. The location appears to be in the main Vice City area, close to the basketball stadium, as the iconic Ferris wheel is visible in the background. Draco Kwan is wearing a Manatees t-shirt, which seems to be the name of Vice City's football team, and a basketball hat emblazoned with Vice City Narcos, the basketball team also mentioned in the newswire. So lots of local flavor. Then there's a scene that looks like it could be straight out of Fast and Furious 6, where Lucia appears to be ejected or thrown out of the side of a plane that is flying quite low to the ground. You can even see that the plane's landing gear is still down. Wild. The woman in this scene also appears to be quite muscular, highlighting the diverse range of character body types that will be present in the game. Speaking of over-the-top action, there's a brief heist scene that seems heavily inspired by Fast 5, where a character appears to be dragging a large safe behind them. A heist of this nature has actually been a long-standing rumor and wish among the Grand Theft Auto fanbase. Looks like they delivered. Here we see some kind of social media influencer enthusiastically saying, "Save Vice City, baby." Jason and Lucia, however, don't seem particularly impressed, further emphasizing the role of social media and influencer culture within the game's world, and perhaps offering a slightly satirical take on it. The scene also gives us a better view of the Vice Beach area of the city. We see various non-player characters engaging in typical beach activities, posing for photos, filming content from their cars. Very Miami. And we get a closer look at some of the vehicles in the scene. In the foreground, there's a new variant of the Benefactor Shafter with some very distinctive rims. Behind it, there's a new Pegasus model resembling a Lamborghini in a vibrant green color. Nice. We also see the return of the classic blue and white striped Banshee that has been a staple of the Grand Theft Auto series for many installments. Behind that, there's what looks like some kind of growler or possibly a Porsche, and then a new iteration of the Impante Phoenix. Lots of cool cars. The hotel featured prominently in this shot is the Ocean View Hotel in the game, which is clearly based on the iconic Clevelander South Beach Hotel in real life. We caught a glimpse of it in the first trailer, but now we get a much more detailed look. There's a lot of activity around the hotel, with people dancing both upstairs on the balconies and downstairs on the patio, showcasing that the nightlife along Vice Beach will be vibrant and lively. We then get another interior shot of one of the strip clubs in the game. Rockstar has confirmed that there will be more than one. This particular one is called Jack of Hearts, a name that was also visible in the first trailer. We also get confirmation that Ammunition, the series' iconic gun store, will be returning, or at least one of the locations will be called Phil's Ammunition. There are a few other interesting details in this shot. Birds visible outside, what looks like a humorous parody of the PlayStation 5 console, a video game controller, and realistic reflections visible on a framed photograph hanging on the wall. If you look closely at the beer bottle on the counter, you can even see bubbles rising in the liquid. It's these tiny details that really add to the overall atmosphere. Incredible. There's a brief shot of Jason asleep on a couch, watching television, while Lucia appears to be arriving home, possibly after finishing her community service duties. Then we get our first look at the Everglades area in Trailer 2, which Rockstar has officially confirmed will be called the Grass Rivers in the game. We see Jason piloting a buzzard attack helicopter, which is making a return, complete with its mounted machine gun, and chasing an airboat through the swampy terrain. In the background of this shot, you can also spot some NPCs cruising around in a Sea Shark watercraft, and further in the distance, there's a group of people having a pool party on a yacht, indicating a significant amount of NPC activity not just on land but also across the waterways. We then see Jason on a motorbike, seemingly en route to steal a car from the back of a moving transport truck. The inclusion of more elaborate heists and robberies is definitely a welcome addition for many fans. Following this, there's another short but intimate romantic scene between Jason and Lucia, this time taking place in a motel room, likely the Starlit Motel in Port Gellhorn that we saw Jason outside of earlier. The action then picks up again with a shot of Jason and Lucia engaged in a firefight with Vicedale police officers from a boat. It's not entirely clear if this is a brand new boat model or perhaps the Lamparty boat that was featured in GTA 5. There's also a somewhat comedic quick scene where Jason appears to fall out of a boat and directly into the back of a waiting car, a moment that's reminiscent of some of the slapstick humor involving Jimmy DeSanta in GTA 5. Kind of funny. With just a couple of scenes left, we see Cal approaching Jason and asking him to hook me up with some of his friends, suggesting that Cal might be single and looking for a romantic connection, adding a touch of humor to the otherwise high-stakes narrative. Poor Cal. The final shot of the trailer shows Jason and Lucia driving across a bridge and into the sprawling cityscape of Vice City in what appears to be the same car that was featured at the very end of the first trailer. This seems to suggest that their journey will take them through various distinct locations within the game world, starting in the Leonida Keys, perhaps moving through Port Gellhorn and Ambrosia, and ultimately leading them to the neon-drenched streets of Vice City. What a journey it's going to be. The final screen displays the Grand Theft Auto 6 logo and the updated release date, May 26, 2026. Still feels far away. It also confirms that all of the incredible-looking footage we've just seen was captured on a PlayStation 5, which gives us a good indication of the expected visual fidelity on console. Looks amazing. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.